Well, good afternoon, everyone. We've been having a wonderful day at this summit. Thank you to those amazing speakers who came and delivered for us. It was spot on. Thank you, and thank you for showing up in our audience too. We appreciate you so much. Just a reminder that the summit goes until about 4:30 with all our speakers, so feel free to pop in and listen in. The program for the summit is in the chat. If you missed our email where we sent out the program, you can get it right there in the chat. Make a look for it, summit program, and you should find it. There's also a link for getting the replays of the summit in case you miss a session and you'd really like to listen into it. You can sign up for the summit replays. Okay, the replays are going to be made available up to 24 hours after the end of the summit to everyone who signed up. After that, you'd need to get a replays if you'd like lifetime access. And there are also some bonuses for persons who upgrade to VIP access. Okay, so this afternoon, it's my pleasure to introduce Michelle Proctor. Michelle, welcome to our summit, and I'm going to hand over to you right away so that you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your journey. I've read your journey and I can relate to it. The two sons, thingy.
Okay. It's too funny. So
Boy,
thank you so very
yeah.
much. I am so thrilled to be here today. This is definitely an honor to be part of the Mompreneur Summit. This is a topic that is of interest to all of us, obviously. So as you mentioned, I am Michelle Proctor. I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Eunice Nisbet several months ago, and it's been a phenomenal partnership from beginning to end. A little bit of my story. Of course, I'm a mom. And I do have to stress, one, my sons are adults, but that's one beauty behind what we're doing, because each generation can learn from the other generations. So with that said, I have two amazing adult sons. Both of them are federal law enforcement, which makes a mama proud. I have two adorable granddaughters, so they just revitalize everything and really make us focus on our whole legacy plan. But I was actually one that worked in corporate America for global law firms and within the staffing industry. Again, with two sons, I was a single mom. Did not expect to be a single mom, but you deal with the card that life hands you. And so with that said, I was on a mission that my two sons were going to have every advantage that life could offer. So which meant that I was going after the high paying jobs, the stressful jobs, the jobs that were literally taking over my life, so that I could make sure that I could keep them in private school, give them the life that I wanted them to have, kept them active with sports, karate, band, anything that, was keeping their minds active in addition to academics. And so fast forward, once at a particular point with being in the global law firms, I was becoming stressed out beyond, the stress levels were just off the chart. And so I decided that it was time for a change. My sons were grown. They were done with college. They were well on their way with their careers. It was time for me to think about me. And that's what we as moms do. We put ourselves last. But this was one time where it is, the whole focus, it was my time and it was my turn. And I've been having a blast. Let me put that out there. And so with that said, that's what it was important for me, part of the Mompreneurs Summit, because to be able to share, the changes that we've made or advise on different avenues moms can take, especially with entrepreneurship, I want to say it's a personal mission for me. Mm-hmm. The whole focus of women empowering women really needs to be on the forefront, especially with moms who have the younger children. What I'm doing now, I only wish I had known about it when my sons were younger. And I wish I had taken more steps to be able to get out of my comfort zones, to be able to make the changes that I've made now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure.
It takes a little while sometimes, and I think at one point it just gets to you and you tell yourself no more. Right. I totally relate. Tell me, Michelle, I know you work with moms as a travel consultant and so on. What are the challenges you see moms struggling with, perhaps in deciding to start a business and make time for themselves, just being a mom while caring for the needs of their family. I know you mentioned something that you face, but even now, let's look at the people you interact with. Our needs are similar, but what are the struggles you see them facing?
Well, you hit it right on the head. With being a travel business broker, being able to market travel businesses, it's a win-win. Because what moms are typically, I think that all of us are going to have very similar answers. Moms are typically dealing with time management, especially if they have more than one child. So the time management tends to bring on the stresses because we want to take great care of our families. And so therefore we put a lot on our shoulders to be able to make that happen. I don't know about others, but I definitely felt like I could handle it all. I think we created that whole tone of Wonder Woman. So one of the main struggles is definitely the time management, which I think is somewhat equivalent to the stresses that we deal with from day to day. Self-care. We always put ourselves last. And that has got to change because we can't take care of others if we're not taking care of ourselves. And it's okay to do so. And then, of course, that leads me to the third struggle, the mom guilt. We tend to feel guilty when we're doing something for ourselves as though we're taking away from our families. And we're not. That's the whole point, is just being able to focus on being well-rounded so that everything you're doing to take care of you, in a sense, releases a lot of the stresses that we're going through from day to day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but how did you come to that realization?
I will tell you that it just literally came down to me being totally burnt out, where I finally said, and I've shared this story with so many as I'm out speaking, that the only way I can describe it, I felt like I was suffocating. And that's one message I share with women always: do not let it get to that point. But the only way I can basically describe it is that I felt like I was suffocating. I was at a point where I've got to do something. I've got to make changes now. And that's why I just stress to everyone, it's in your best interest to start focusing on these issues sooner rather than later, because ultimately it's the opportunity for you to be able to, for you to be happier. And what they say, when it's a happy life, then at that point your family's going to be quite happy too. I love the response that I'm getting from my sons at this point. They agree it was my time, it was my turn, and that it was time for me to focus on what I needed to be focusing on. Little did I know, and what I see now, I should have been focusing on on me more directly, probably 20, almost 30 years ago. It would have made a world of difference with the way things had evolved in my life. I firmly believe that.
All right. What about freedom?
Freedom.
Yeah. What about freedom? We say focus on yourself. Was freedom something that you were looking for?
Most definitely. I think for the
What
most
did it
part,
mean for you?
it's meant different things at different times. I think that we get so caught up into everything we're doing for our families. We're like almost on auto drive, and we're just going through the motions. But are we really living our lives? And so when you start understanding and adapting to the various freedoms that are out there, that was one thing. Corporate America totally consumed my life. So between corporate America and wanting to be a great mom to my sons, I didn't realize the freedoms that I was giving up to be able to achieve what I'm achieving now. And I will tell everyone, with the changes I have made over the last 5 years with becoming a mompreneur, I wouldn't give it up for the world. It's that personal freedom, meaning that I decide my schedule each day. It's that I can go where I want to go, when I want to go, and how I want to go. Meaning that I can work from anywhere with the avenue I chose with the travel industry. I can work from anywhere. And so that gives me that liberty of, if I want to work from my home office, I can work from my home office. I took something that I was passionate about and turned it into a purpose. And that is something that a lot of people tend to, once we really talk it through, it resonates with them, because it's not as though you're really going out to start a brand new venture from scratch, which is not a bad thing, but ultimately to be able to do something very similar and turn that passion, something you really enjoy, something that really speaks to you, and now have that become part of your daily life. And so what a lot of what we don't realize as a mompreneur is that personal freedom and literally that time freedom that is crucial with what we're doing from day to day as moms.
Yes, personal and time freedom, so important. And so at that tipping point, began looking something that would give you personal and time freedom. And I like that you said that people should look at what they're passionate about.
Right.
I kind of use that to direct their
Right. And you've hit it around the head, because that was something that, years ago I did real estate and I loved it. But between the corporate job, having 2 small children, and then the real estate immediately evolving into a full-time job, I had to make a decision as far as what was best for my family. And what that meant was that I had to stick with the corporate job because that had the benefits. I wasn't at that time, let's say I was more so in my comfort zones at that time, that I wasn't willing to take that step out, because I kept thinking that, well, what if this, what impact will this have on my sons? So I stuck with what we say, the generational programming, and stayed with the corporate job, which consumed almost 16 to 18 hours a day. I even switched jobs twice to get a lighter schedule. And I appreciate the management that I worked with, because they would see the value of my contributions, and there would be promotion after promotion, and put me back into that same situation where I was working 14, 16 hours a day. And then traffic. I was one of the women flying down the road, get out of my way. I got to get to daycare to get the kids. But in all honesty, moving over to the entrepreneurial focus, which shocked me, was in less than 6 months, I had everything up and going. I had income coming in. It was so much easier than what I thought it was going to be, especially with the opportunity that I jumped on within the travel industry. And so now that's the beauty of what I do, is being able to share the same opportunity, especially with moms. Stay-at-home moms are always looking for options, legitimate options, to be able to work from home that's going to benefit their family. And so with that, that's pretty much brought my life full circle, to be able to benefit from, that entry into to entrepreneurship as a mompreneur, but now to be able to get that message out to everyone else. I look at young moms now and I'm like, nope, there's a better way.
There's a better way, but they first have to recognize their struggle.
Right. You do, because I think the thing is, it comes about in a sense sometimes so slowly, we don't realize that it's starting to take over. Our focus is, so again, the generational programming, give of ourselves so we can take care of our families. And actually it's the flip side. Take care of you, take good care of you, so you can take care of your family. And knowing that, those comfort zones are good, but those comfort zones tend to hold you back. And you always hear me say, just do it. Just get out here and do it.
So that's why you say step out of your comfort zone and conquer life.
That's right. Step out of those comfort zones and conquer life. You got it. Right.
It's so good. So a few things, if a mom is finding herself in that situation where she's struggling and she maybe wants to break out of corporate, I know one of the things you said is look at your passion and see if you can build a business around it. What else? I mean, maybe give me another thing that they can do, because there are many options out there.
Right. There are many options that are there. Honestly, one of the first ones is stop and breathe, because I think that we go from here to here to here, but we don't stop and breathe. And so when you take that step back and really clear your head, and that sometimes the answers aren't going to come overnight, okay? Because those fears are going to be there. And so sometimes those answers, you're understanding those answers may not come overnight, but when you stop and breathe, now you have a clearer head as far as, okay, what is it that I'm extremely interested in? And what is it that I need to do to take those next steps? There are mom groups popping up everywhere. And that's a great start in some instances, because now not only do you have that, that support system, but you also have other knowledge that each other is sharing with each other. I was part of a couple of mom groups. We didn't even call them mom groups. We were just all friends. Now they have the official name. But it was through those groups that, you know, as you saw others that I would say, for lack of a better way, that you may have admired, that you may have walked away thinking, okay, if this can be done, I know I can do it. You know, it just kind of literally kept that energy going. And so I always tell people one of the initial, I want to say almost immediate plans, the mom groups are there, because when you have a mom group that's really empowering, you literally can develop that tone that you can conquer anything.
Yes. And then for the mom, it's like cherishing those special moments where once you've been able to develop that freedom, you can enjoy those special moments with your kids as they grow and be there for them, because in corporate, it doesn't allow you that freedom.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it with any job, and I hear it
Mhm.
constantly when I'm talking to moms, you know, whether or not their boss will let them take time off. God forbid your child is sick and that, you know, and it's something that's lingering, because now, you know, you want to be there to take care of your child. And that was one thing that really started to eat away at me when my youngest son had pneumonia. And thank goodness for the boss that I had, because at that point we had been back and forth to the doctor numerous times because of the different health issues he was having that eventually evolved into pneumonia. And you know, like I said, thank goodness for my boss that, you know, I just told him, you know what, at this point, everything stops. I'm taking care of my son. I will be back once I know he's 100% better, because it was going on for week after week after week and just getting worse and worse and worse until it developed into pneumonia. And so from there, that's when I adapted that tone of, no, no one else is going to have a say-so over how I'm going to take care of my family. And prior to that, I was trying to juggle the job and, you know, perhaps have my, you know, family or close friends help take care of my son. But at that point, I'm like, this has gotten too extreme. It's time for everything to stop and for mom to get into action. So that's the beauty behind being a mompreneur. You don't have to ask anyone. You can take care of your family. You can literally be able, like I said, work from home. That's a key point, because even with conversations that we've had or I've had with other women, you know, the concern of, well, do I really want to work from home? Yes, you do, especially when it's an opportunity where you can work from anywhere, where you're not tied to the house.
Yes.
When the kids are in school, you can still go out to meetings, to brunches, to lunch, you know, to lunch events, to dinner meetings and so on. It is such a healthier balance, because it's still giving you that social time, and which basically equates to that self-care, as well as being able to have, you know, build a lucrative income through something you're passionate about. And with travel, everybody travels.
Yes.
Everybody loves the travel.
Mhm.
And one thing I hadn't thought about, you know, like I said, I wish I had known about this when my sons were younger, because of the fact that we literally could have traveled even more than what we did. And I would have been able to expose them to so much more. Now, mind you, I don't really feel like separate through life. But to have been able to enhance what I was already giving them with something that we were already doing anyway would only made sense. And that's why so many people run in our direction when I let them know that I'm a travel business marketing broker.
Wonderful. So how kind of person gets started? Because that would be, I mean, you have people who are virtual assistants, but how kind of person gets started as a travel business
Well,
agent?
they most definitely can connect with me, and I am looking to see if I can put the link in the chat, because we want to be able to make sure people have contact information. But I know you have everything on the summit too. I'll definitely put it here in the chat once we're done. But ultimately, they can just reach out to me directly. You know, I also put my Facebook page on there as well, the link to that. They can just reach out to me directly. We can get into conversation. I can give them the whole picture. And at that point, they can determine if this is an opportunity that works well for them. I always explain to people, this is very similar. What we do is very similar to being a real estate agent, except for you're in the travel industry. So you're able to book travel, you're able to assist others to be able to join the industry as well. And there's, I mean, the possibilities are just simply endless. You know, what we like to call, and it was funny, I was on a cruise not too long ago, and a young lady that I met who actually decided to partner with us, she was on what she called a mommy recharge cruise. Okay. The title alone speaks for itself.
Yes.
And those are things that need to occur within this world. You know, we should not feel guilty that we're taking care of ourselves. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, can't take care of your family in the ways that you really want to be able to take care of them if you're stressed out, if you're tired all the time, and you're trying to get a couple seconds just to breathe.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle. I think you just gave me the name for the subtitle for my next summit.
Awesome.
Mommy Recharge.
Well, I would love to be part of that too. Like I said, I'll drop the links to not only this particular opportunity, but the link to my Facebook group. Feel free to reach out to me. I know you and I are going to stay connected because I'm sure you partnered with us as well.
Right.
And we most definitely will be able to take care of anyone that wants to have more information.
Okay, great. Thanks again. So we're saying that moms, look after yourselves first.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle.
Thank
We'll be in
you.
touch, and we're gonna just reminding people that the links for the free gifts, you will also get that in an email. In the meantime, you can pick up any links that are in the chat. Okay, thanks, Michelle. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.